California Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia joins us now. He is the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, which is leading the Epstein investigation. Congressman, you just saw that PSA from the Epstein survivors, brand new. A number of them are going to be present at tomorrow's hearings. Danielle Bensky, who viewers of this program know well, she's on a lot. She's expected to testify Thursday against Blanche. What kind of role do you expect the survivors to play in this confirmation fight?
Look, I think first, just broadly speaking, I think the entire Epstein investigation, the work of the survivors, their advocacy is going to be central to what's going to happen over these next few days as we know this confirmation hearing is going to move forward. We've also been directly communicating the Oversight Committee with members of the Senate, ensuring that they have all the information that they need to ask the right questions. But the survivors are correct. Todd Blanche should not be confirmed as Attorney General. To be clear, there are still 3 million files that have not been released. He himself has claimed that there's no possibility for further criminal convictions. I mean, who can believe that? He's weaponized the DOJ. He's put survivors in danger. He's released their personal information in an incredibly botched process. And so why he would receive a single vote is beyond me. And so we have to be very clear. We join the survivors in demanding that the Senate not confirm Todd Blanche.
You referenced senators asking the right questions, and you have said previously that you have been in close contacts with your colleagues in the Senate. Can you give us a sense of what you believe would be the most fruitful lane of questioning when it comes to tomorrow's hearings?
Well, I think you can already see by some of the witness selections that there has been, I think, some really great partnership between us and the Senate. I think you're going to hear questions from some senators that go directly to the investigation around Epstein, that ask the questions about why certain files have not been released. That's direct in why survivors and their information was released to the public, why Todd Blanche was named, over 30 plus times by Pam Bondi as being a central figure in the Epstein investigation, why Todd Blanche tried to kill this investigation by going on other networks multiple times and saying essentially that the investigation was over. I mean, Todd Blanche is complicit in the cover-up. This has been a cover-up for day one. And it's clear that he continues to act like Donald Trump's personal lawyer, which he was, as we know, before he got his position as deputy AG. And so all of those questions, I believe, will be asked. I think he's going to be asked relevant, but also very tough questions about the Epstein investigation, but also all the other parts of him weaponizing the DOJ, of the slush fund. There's so much there and so much evidence that the Senate must reject the confirmation.
There's sort of a split screen happening tomorrow because you're going to have Blanche's hearing and then you're going to have former Obama White House counsel Catherine Rumler expected to testify tomorrow before the Oversight Committee. She's faced intense scrutiny over her ties to Epstein, her ties to Maxwell. What can you learn from her that you have not learned from other witnesses?
I think first it's important to remember that us as a committee, this is a nonpartisan investigation, and we don't care if you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, if you work for a Republican president or a Democratic one. We're going to ask you the tough questions. And Ms. Rumler has, in our opinion, really important information. Why was she one of the first people that Epstein called after he, as we know, was in prison? Why was she so engaged in the work around Ghislaine Maxwell? Why is there evidence that she possibly knew about additional crimes that Epstein was committing? She went to work for Jeffrey Epstein and advising Jeffrey Epstein after she was aware that he was convicted of sexual abuse of minors. And so why would someone with so much power and influence that served a president, a Democratic president, that had positions of power in all of her work, go on to work so closely with a sexual abuser and trafficker of children and women, and then continue to build that friendship through his arrest? Those are important questions that she's going to have to answer tomorrow, and she's going to get tough questions from not just Republicans, but from Democrats as well.
Congressman, there was some news that broke as we were coming on air as it relates to ICE, and I want to make sure to get your take on it. You have Reuters reporting officers were told today that vehicle stops related to immigration enforcement in the United States have been suspended. That's according to two sources briefed on the matter. This, of course, follows two more deadly shootings involving ICE agents, this time in Texas, in Maine. Your reaction to that, is that enough of a change from ICE?
Well, first, can we even believe anything that DHS or ICE actually says? I'm glad to hear that announcement, but let's be very clear that ICE and DHS have continued to lie. They've continued operations where they said they've stopped. They've gone into cities, said they've pulled out and never pulled out. Operations continue right now that they said they wouldn't continue in the past. So I don't believe a word that ICE or DHS puts out. And the public shouldn't as well. We should remain vigilant. We should continue to videotape actions that we see in the community. Rapid response networks should continue. And the actions of ICE going up and murdering, they're murdering people on the streets of American cities must end, which is why I'm firmly committed that ICE as an organization and department should be abolished. It cannot be reformed. It is rotted to the core with corruption and direction from the administration to do harm. This is not the way law enforcement agencies should be acting. And what I hear from police officers on the ground, including back in my city, is that they are horrified at what ICE is doing. They are making it harder for law enforcement, like police officers, to do their job across the country. So this has got to end.
Congressman, while you and I have been talking, our producers have been listening to the president take questions at the White House. He's just answered a question about the speech that he's teased for Thursday. I want to take a listen to what he said and then speak with you about it on the other side.
World and around the nation are anticipating your big announcement on Thursday night regarding election machines and integrity. Can you give us sort of a sneak peek about what to expect and tell the audience?
Well, I'd rather save it. It will concern that subject, and we'll have a couple of other things to say also.
Why should people watch, though?
But I'd rather save it, but it's really big news. It's really, really big news. And our country has to shape up. But that's what we're going to be talking about Thursday is it doesn't get bigger, because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country. We'll be discussing other things too, but it's going to be a very big announcement. Yeah.
Congressman, we're talking in the last segment about the danger of the intel community putting no daylight between themselves and this president, the danger of the administration cherry-picking pieces of information that they choose to release, the danger of the president using the bully pulpit to continue to spread his baseless accusations of what happened to the 2020 election. How does Congress push back when the president has a platform like a national address that he plans to use to spread lies?
Well, first, folks have to recognize here in D.C. that Donald Trump is going to work to interfere with the election this year. I mean, he's been talking about it for years. He doesn't take the will of the people seriously. He still is out there arguing that he won an election that he lost to Joe Biden. And he has the entire administration on his side, all out there giving the same talking points, not any of them saying that Donald Trump lost the election. In fact, they're trying to recreate history. We should be concerned about this address that's going to happen this week. Is he going to go after Georgia? Is he going to go after its senators? Is he going to talk about fraud that we know has not existed in this country? Elections in this country are generally incredibly safe. They're done by local counties and states. They should not be federalized. And we worry, I certainly do, that Donald Trump is going to have, whether it's ICE agents or DHS agents out at polling sites, he's going to interfere with elections. Is he going to try to seize ballots like he did in the last election? And so Congress has to prepare, not just in D.C., but also in the courts. There are numerous organizations right now across the country that are training poll watchers, that are putting attorneys in place. We're going to have monitors all over the country. We're trying, of course, to get legislation through this Congress. And the courts are also preparing. So there is an enormous amount of work to do. Our state attorneys general across the country are also engaged in this work with us directly here in the Congress. And we're going to monitor every instance, not just by the way of fraud that the Trump administration is going to try to impose on polling, but also what's going to happen to mail-in ballots. Is Trump going to try to use the Postal Service and weaponize the Postal Service to somehow stop mail-in ballots from reaching these centers? These are all questions that we have to responsibly be asking ourselves. And I think all of us are going to be paying attention to what Donald Trump says on Thursday night.
Congressman Robert Garcia, as always, thank you so much for your time, sir.